Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice is all about recognizing and disarming destructive behavior. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest where you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set ourselves up in a comfortable wide stance. So let's do feet a little bit wider than our hips. We're going to bring our hands to prayer and we're going to take a high arm position, allowing our thumbs to press into our third eye as we close our eyes and just look for a little bit of introspection. Take a moment to take stock. Think about all those destructive behavior patterns that cause negativity in your life. Then gently open your eyes and give me a bum pushback. Dropping your hands in front of your heart, then coming back to a tall stand and pressing into your third eye, that seat of consciousness. We're going to do that 3 times. Reaffirming that decision to undo negative patterns of behavior. We're going to end in the seat and we're going to allow the seat to take us into a fold. It could be hands to shins or hands to floor as you begin to bend and extend dynamically through both legs. We're going to end in the fold and we're going to start to rock the body weight forwards and backwards into the feet. End with your weight center aligned, pause. Then take a large lunge step back on the left and begin to sway your body weight forwards and backwards, thinking of toeing and heeling on your back foot. We're going to end in the heel position. Hold it, look for that opening through the groin. Step back into a 4-point kneeling position on the mat and lift both feet off the mat. Modify chaturanga to come down. Bend your elbows, hug them in towards your ribs and slowly, slowly, slowly make your way down onto the belly. Release the feet and peel up into a small cobra. Maybe starting to look for more length through the arms and the neck. Transitioning into an up dog by peeling your knees off the floor and pressing actively into the tops of your feet and bracing your core. Keep pressing into the tops of your feet for as long as you can while you transition to a down dog, and then find a forward tracking, pedaling motion through the legs. End with one knee bent and one leg extended. Then change sides. Double up, extend both legs. Hold that stretch. Let's play right. Soften the right knee and kick up into a 3-legged dog. Do a swing through step into a warrior 2, windmilling your arms open, looking for strength and courage as we find that powerful warrior 2 frame. Transition to a high lunge by pivoting your back heel off the floor, floating your hands overhead and dropping down lower through the pelvis. Release into a full strong plank. Engage the arms, engage the core. Keep that core engagement as you drop your hips through the plank line, finding your second up dog variation. And then down dog it to hold the stretch, sliding your feet slightly forward and looking for more anchorage through the feet. Find your way into the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers. Bend your knees and press the weight back into your bum. Take a hop forward. Roll it up. Coming back to your mindful prayer position, connecting to your third eye with your thumbnails. Take a moment. Deep inhales and exhales through the nose. Then start to play with that dynamic sit into a chair. And that return to mountain with an activation into your third eye, your seat of consciousness. Find a slow rhythm oscillating between the two frames. Transition into a forward fold, bending and extending through the legs in unison. Hold the fold and play with the weight placement in your feet. Come to stillness. Big lunge step back on the right and start to seesaw your body weight. End with the weight in your back heel. Hold that opening. Find a 4-point kneel and lift your feet off the mat. Bend the elbows and make your way down to the belly. Start to find your cobra. Grow it. Lift your knees off the floor and press into your feet. Keep that weight on your feet for as long as you can while you transition to a walking down dog. End one knee bent, one leg extended. Change sides. Then extend both legs and hold that down dog stretch. Soften the left knee, kick up the left leg behind you. Swing through into a powerful warrior two stance. Set up the legs, set up the arms. Allow that power and that strength of the warrior to course through your whole body. Pivot on the back foot. Set up a high lunge with a nice drop down through the pelvis, reaching both hands overhead for the sky. Transition to a strong plank. Begin to drop your hips with care. And then down dog it. Find your way onto the tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes. Press the weight back into your bum as you bend your knees to take a hop forward. Ragdoll up. Find your way back to high prayer as you settle into Tadasana and take a moment for reflection. Take a big breath in. And on a long exhale, take a seat, hands in front of your heart, and hold it. Transition to a forward fold, hold it. Lunge step back on the left, hold it. Four-point kneel, feet off the mat, chaturanga down to the belly, and transition straight into your cobra. Morph into your up dog, and then your down dog. Hold the frame. Kick up the right leg, swing through into a warrior two. Transition to a high lunge, framing your ears. Step back into a plank. Drop your hips with care, find your up dog. Then down dog it. Tiptoe hands and fingers, hop forward. Peel back up. Hands to high prayer, connect to your third eye. Sit back in chair, hands in front of your heart. Transition to a forward fold. Lunge step back on the right. Four-point kneel, feet off the floor. Bend the elbows, find your way down to a cobra. Grow your cobra. Knees off. Down dog. Pick up the left leg. Swing through into a warrior two. Transition to a high lunge. Plank it out. Drop your hips with care through the plank line. Then down dog it. Tips of your toes, tips of your fingers. Pop it up. Bleed your way up. Hands or thumbnails rather pressing into that third eye. Then relax the arms heavy at your side and maybe give yourself a little bit of distance between the legs. Begin to play dynamically. Big breath in. Take a tabletop fold and reach your hands for the wall behind you, straightening up your back and your neckline. Look down towards your feet. All 10 toes should be looking to the front of the mat. Try to keep them there as you take a deep seat and reach your arms up in front. So you're thinking belly quite close to the tops of your thighs. Begin to transition between the two frames. One tabletop, one deep seat. Find your rhythm. Then breathe up. Bring your hands to Jupiter Mudra, interlacing your fingers, index fingers together, crossing at the thumbs, and grow a tall steeple frame. With the tips of your index fingers, begin to trace a circle on the ceiling and keep moving in the same direction. Change direction. Come to stillness, center aligned, and start to sway like a palm tree, your hips bumping in the opposite direction to your index fingers. Center align yourself and splay your feet softly out. Maybe your toes are beginning to curl over the edge of your mat. We're going to come into a forward fold, trying to keep the legs extended or bending the knees if you need to. We're going to begin to play. One forward fold, one deep squat. One forward fold, one deep squat. And we're trying to keep the legs slightly turned out on this one. And in the forward fold, and in the squat, my bad, and start to play with a side lean, peeling the heel off the floor as you lean towards that side. Maybe you can transition to keeping both feet fully grounded as you play with that lean. Center align. Bringing the tips of your fingers together, pressing into them, and using your elbows to open up through the groin. Find your way from here to a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. We're going to tuck the toes under, and we're going to drop down onto the forearms, fisting the hands and making a tripod frame with our arms. We're going to press back, bum to heel. And then we're going to lean forward, trying to hook our chin over our fists, and we're going to begin to move dynamically. Keeping belly to spine throughout. We're going to end in the lean forward position, holding it. Then release from here into a tall kneel, releasing the bridges of your feet. As you go, you're going to loosely tuck both hands behind your head. Keeping a tall kneel, so you're thinking shoulders, hips, knees aligned. We're going to rotate to one side. We're going to open and reach through the arms. And then we're going to come back to the middle, and we're going to begin to move side to side. Playing with that pattern for maybe 4 to 5 rounds. Find your way back into that 4-point kneel with your toes tucked under and your little tripod arm frame. We're going to play with that same lean forward and lean back, but this time we're going to try to do it from a bed position. So we're going to do knees off the floor as you press back and lean forward. We're going to try to end in the lean forward, hold it. Release into a tall kneel, releasing the bridges of your feet as you go. Tuck your hands loosely behind your head. Big breath in, we're going to rotate to one side. We're going to open up the arms into T, and then we're going to play with a little rotation through the forearms. Rotating our hands as far as they will go in one direction, and then as far as they will go in the other. Find your way back to the middle and repeat to the second side. Find your way back to the center. Release into a toe breaker sit back. So tuck the toes under and sit back, bum to heel. Then extend the arms out on the mat in front of you. So you're marrying your toe breaker stretch with child. Then think 4-point kneel and add a push-up. It could be a wide push-up. It could be a narrow push-up. And you're going to begin to play dynamically for 5 rounds. Try to end in the push-up. Then bleed up. Keep your toes tucked under or release them as you interlace the hands behind your head. This time I want you to give yourself a little basket. We are going to nod our chin to our chest, squeezing the 2 elbows in. And then come into a camel back bend, bumping your hips forward over your knees and opening up the elbows as you throw the weight of your head back into your arms. Then hug back in and begin to play. And in the hug, release the arms and the bridges of your feet. Take a step out to the side, lining up your foot and your knee, and start to lean away from the center line and back. Just looking for that beautiful opening through the groin. End in the lean, hold it. So we're working off the mat at this stage. Come back to the center to repeat on the second side, taking a step out to the side of the mat and then adding a lean. And in the lean, hold it. Find your way back to your toe breaker, child. We're going to play with the same movement pattern we did before, but this time we're going to try and play with a bear line. So you're going to think knees off the mat. You're going to pull those knees off, and then you're going to think plank and add a push-up. Giving yourself maybe 5 rounds. Maybe ending in the push-up position. Then releasing your knees to find your way back into your camel line. Toes could be under or they could be relaxed. We're going to hug in. And we're going to open out into the camel. We're going to do that a few times dynamically. Maybe ending in the camel this time. Thinking of opening up your throat and your chest and your third eye to the sky. Then realigning, and this time instead of taking your step out, to the side of the mat. You're going to take your step out in front, and then you're going to swing the back foot in. You're going to drop your lead arm to the inseam of the lead leg, maybe hand to floor or hand to block, and you're going to open up your top arm. Stay here, actively pressing and resisting on the inseam of your lead leg, or looking for an opportunity here to take a bind. Maybe fleshing the two hands between the legs and binding behind your back, rotating through the top shoulder, maybe peeking up to the sky. Finding your way back to center to repeat on the second side. Finding your step out in front, angling in the back foot, dropping down to the inside of the lead leg, and setting up your T-arm frame. Maybe looking for an opportunity to bind and pause. Bleeding your way from here into a seat. So we're going to change our orientation on the mat. We're going to take a seat, maybe sitting right back on the edge of your mat and taking a wide-ish stance. So feet maybe just wider than your hips. And we're going to drop our fingertips to the mat just behind our hip line. And we're going to play with a knee drop side to side, looking away from our drop zone. Using the movement dynamically. We're going to end with both knees dropped to the right, looking away from those falling knees and just holding here for a moment. Then playing again side to side. Ending drop to the left this time, pausing. Coming back to center, and then finding that drop again on the right, extending the right leg and setting up a gate line on the left. You could have a narrow V between the two legs, or you could tuck that back heel closer towards your bum and open up into more of an L frame. We're going to place either hand to thigh, right hand to right thigh, or right hand to floor. And you're either going to slide down the chain of the leg, making your ear heavy to the floor, or you're going to slide your arm along the mat, thinking forearm to floor. Do that dynamically. Your resting hand could be on your thigh or on the floor. Make sure that the feet of the foot rather, of your extended leg is soft but actively braced. End in the drop. And then maybe tuck the other arm behind your back. You could be taking your fingertips and reaching for the inner thigh of your extended leg, or you could just tuck the arm behind your back. Look for that rotation on the top shoulder and maybe peek up towards the sky. Unbind. Come back to your knee drops, side to side, dynamically. End left, hold it. Play again. End right, hold it. Then flop again left. Use that frame to set up your gate line, readjusting your legs as is comfortable for you, and start to play with that drop down, either sliding your hand along the leg or along the floor. We're going to end in the drop, and you're going to try to tuck the other hand behind, reaching fingertips for your thigh, or just hand behind the back. Pause, breathe. Then peel up to either repeat that knee drop side to side or mimic the same movement, but this time from a deep squat. So press up, set up your squat line, and then start to play, dropping one knee to the floor. Maybe you're keeping one or two hands on the floor. Maybe you can work sans hands. Maybe you can even interlace the hands and press them away as you play with that alternating knee drop, holding a squat line. We're going to end drop to one side, hold it. Then use this frame to set up your gate line. This time we're going to drop and we're going to reach for the big toe if we can. And then we're going to try to bind first to our toes. You could use a strap to maybe help you make that connection. And then maybe to the back foot, hugging it tight, reaching underneath for the ankle of the back foot and coming back into the bind. Finding your way back into either your alternating knee drop or doing the same, but from a deep squat, using fingers on the floor or playing without them, or interlacing and inverting while doing that same single knee drop, side to side, from a deep squat line. We're going to try to end in the tap or the drop. We're going to use it to set up our gate line on the second side. We're going to find our drop and toe lock. We're going to arc first overhead, reaching for the toes, and we're going to hold there for a few moments. Then maybe try to take the bind in the opposite direction. So you're lifting your bum off the mat so that you can tuck your hand under, reaching for the back ankle, and then coming back into that bind, thinking bowling action on the top arm and reaching for your toes. Peel back up and extend both legs out in front of you. We're going to play with this movement. So let's find it and then let's add to it. So we're going to do one lean forward, legs together, one straddle, lean forward, hands on the inside. Now maybe you can add to this movement, giving me a double leg lift, and then a lean, double leg lift, or you can lift one leg at a time using your hands to assist, and then a lean forward. So just find a rhythm of your own. Shooting for maybe 3 to 5 repeats. And end in that straddle line and bend your knees, grounding your feet. So we're taking a slightly wider stance and we're going to begin to play. Holding on to your ankle, or you can do hand to floor. You're going to use your elbow to press and open. Come back to the middle and then start to play side to side. We're pressing into the digit of each finger, we're using those elbows, and we're playing side to side. And we're shooting for at least 5 complete rounds. Remembering to look for that resistance as we rotate away from our press zone. And when we find our way to the middle, we're using elbows, we're using fingers, we're using arms. Then find your way from here into a butterfly line, maybe just swiveling yourself on the mat. We're going to use this butterfly just to take a little stretch into the groin area. You could be holding on to the ankles, you could be holding on to the feet, you could be using hands to floor. So just play with it. See where you need to be right now. And then when you are ready, you're going to find your way onto the back and we're going to do some hand belly activation. So just quick demo. Once you're on the back, we're going to activate into the little fleshy mound between the thumb and the index finger on one side. So we're going to use thumb and index on the opposite hand to press into that pressure point. So make your way onto your back, bend your knees, ground your feet, and give yourself maybe a knock knee position. So you're thinking knees falling in and feet slightly wider. You're going to find that activation point on the right hand, either releasing both elbows to the floor and just relaxing here. If your elbows don't comfortably reach the floor, change by slightly dragging your right arm and resting the weight of your right arm on your trunk, and then pressing and almost supporting yourself on the left elbow. Close your eyes, take your focus inward, and start to find a pulsing press into that pressure point on the right hand, squeezing for a bit, and then releasing. Inhaling and exhaling in a relaxed fashion through your nose. Keeping your eyes closed, relax your hands, palms down to the mat, and draw both knees into a narrow table, using the legs together to trace a circular pattern with the knees. Work that trace 5 times in one direction, massaging into your lower back, and then 5 times in the opposite direction. Find your way from here back into your knock-kneed bridge-like setup, and find your hand belly activation point on the left hand. Relaxing elbows to floor or drawing your arm across the trunk to find a resting spot for the weight of your arm as you activate into that pressure point. Body totally relaxed into the mat. Breath soft, gentle, relaxed. Release both arms alongside the body, palm down. Draw both knees up into a narrow table and start to trace that circle with your knees. Eyes are still closed with some inward facing introspection. Then trace for a few in the opposite direction. When you're ready, find your way into a long supine stretch, maybe floating the hands overhead, reaching through your fingertips, toes, crown, trying to lengthen from a neutral position. And then melt your way into Shavasana, corpse pose. Lying on the back, arms and legs softly splayed out. Settle the weight of your body and begin to focus on your breath. At first, just find a relaxed inhale and exhale pattern exclusively through the nose. Then begin to lengthen that breath. Inhaling for as long as you can. And then gently exhaling for as long as you can. Don't worry about the count pattern. Just inhale for as long as you can. And exhale for as long as you can. With each breath, just begin to melt the weight of your limbs, the weight of your head, the weight of your entire trunk into the mat. Keep that breathing pattern going. Then allow your breath to return to normal. As you bring your hands to prayer and relax your thumbs to your third eye, so we're mimicking our first position on the mat, which we did from Tadasana, but now we're doing it from a supine position. Allow the weight of not only your thumbs, but the weight of your hands to press into your third eye, making space so that you're not squishing your nose. So we're looking for a soft prayer-like hand with an active press into our seat of consciousness. While connecting to the third eye from this supine position, I'd like you to internalize the next few words. Negativity is destructive. Disarm. Put down your physical weapons. Put down your verbal weapons. If you could read the secret history of your neighbor, you would recognize each person's life sorrow and suffering enough for you to disarm all of your hostility. Check your words, check your actions. They can be sharper than any knife. They can penetrate deeper than any gun. They hold the power to build or break. Your words, your actions can be more brutal and harming to yourself and others than any physical weapons could ever be. Take the conscious decision to disarm that destructive behavior. Let's end off today's practice by verbalizing the words Shanti, peace within, peace without. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. Till next time, keep it light.